So guys, moving to learn about problems with the CPI. So substitution bias. From the previous video, we already know what this is. The price of goods and services for different goods increasing over time, and for some goods, prices increasing at much faster rate than the others. Therefore, what consumers are going to do, they're going to substitute towards cheaper good. Remember in the previous example, we're going to buy less beef but more chicken, because chicken price has increased by a little bit, but price of beef has actually increased by a lot. So therefore, whatever we're going to spend on goods and services, it's going to be much smaller amount than what BLS is actually thinking we're spending. So therefore, because remember, our basket is fixed, BLS is still taking, those kind of old quantities into consideration, and this making our CPI overstated. So they're going to report that cost of living of typical consumer has increased by much more than what in reality happened. So therefore, all these three problems that we're going to talk about, they're going to overstate CPI a little bit. Guys, you're probably sitting and thinking there was like, well, what is the problem? Like, why do we need to be concerned that the CPI is overstated? Remember, in reality, CPI is overstated probably by about like 0.5%. Okay, 0.5%. So this is probably, you're going to say this is not that significant, but in reality it can be, because a lot of contracts in our economy are actually connected to the CPI. Contracts in our economy connected to the CPI. For example, if we're going to have landlord and we're going to have a tenant, landlord a lot of times in the leasing agreement can say that, well, you know what, your rent is going to be adjusted based on the CPI each year. And therefore, when CPI is overstated each year, even by a smaller percentage, then out of these two participant landlords and tenants, somebody is going to lose. Why it is so? Because just think about it. If, for example, BLS said that, well, inflation rate for a certain year, I'm trying to write it over here, for example, was 3.5%. That's what BLS reported to us. It means that the leasing agreement should increase for the next year by 3.5%. It means that landlord is going to get 3.5% more money for rent, and tenant, this is T, stands for tenant, is going to pay 3.5% more for rent. But remember, since CPI overstated, in reality, the cost of living probably increased only by 3%. And therefore, the leasing agreement should have been increased only by this percentage. So therefore, in reality, tenant is going to lose here because tenant is overpaying this 0.5%. Does everybody understand? Because in reality, to compensate to higher cost of living, tenant would pay only 3% more in lease. But in reality, tenant paying 3.5%. Tenant is overpaying, so tenant is going to lose here, but landlord is going to gain this 0.5%, and therefore landlord is going to be better off. So therefore, this overstatement of CPI, it does have a little bit of complication. Once again, 0.5% probably not that much, but it's actually exists over there. So make sure that you know that a lot of our contract agreements, they actually, adjusted on the CPI based on the CPI each year. So you need to know that. Next problem with CPI, introduction of new goods. When new good is introduced on the market, Bureau of Labor Statistics does not put it fast enough in the basket. So, and therefore, when we have new good introduced on the market, we kind of get more value for our dollars. But BLS and consumer price index actually, it kind of misses that. It doesn't take this into consideration. I'm going to give you the example. When in 2001, the new product was introduced on the market, iPod was introduced on the market. We started download music and listen that on iPod. When we start doing that, guys, do you remember when you were buying CDs? Okay, you had an option to buy CDs and your music was more or less portable, isn't it? You can take, I remember those things they call Walkman, if you still remember. You can actually take a little CD player. You can kind of not really put it in your pocket, but you can hold it in your hand and you can, listen to music on CD while you're driving or walking. So that was, that was part of the consumer basket. This Walkman and CD, were part of the consumer basket. When iPod was introduced on the market, now you can listen to the music. And remember, all of a sudden, you don't need to buy 12 songs that were actually available on CD. All of a sudden, you can only buy one song. And remember, at the beginning, one song you can actually download for 99 cents, isn't it? So BLS still was thinking for a couple of years that you buying CDs and you spending, for example, that $9.99 on each CD. But in reality, you don't buy this anymore. You actually paying only 99 cents for a music for a certain artist. So $9.99 versus 99 cents. 99 cents, it's cheaper. So Bill is still thinking that you're spending this much on music, but in reality, you're spending only 99 cents. So again, CPI is going to be overstated. CPI is going to be overstated. BLS, exactly with this example, went and recalculated kind of, CPI, then they put that, product in the consumer price index. But once again, it was a kind of, a little bit too late. And for a few years, they were reporting CPI as if we still were buying CDs. So the very last example is unmeasured quality change. So unmeasured quality change, guys, our goods that we're purchasing, especially a really good example is going to be with electronics, are changing really fast. And the quality of electronics that we're purchasing is getting better and better. If you're paying still the same price for those electronics, then you're getting, again, more value for your dollars. So you're getting more value for each dollar that you're spending. Just think about, if you think about our cars, how are the quality of cars changed even in the last 10 years? Just think about what kind of new features do you have on our cars. They're more efficient, probably. They're more efficient. Now you have backup camera. Now you have remote control. Now you have this XM radio. Now you have this Bluetooth and stuff like that. So all these are new features that we put in the car, but it does not necessarily mean that the cars are getting more expensive. If the cars are going to stay at the same price, then you're getting more value for your dollar. And again, this is going to make our CPI overstated. I guess that's it for the CPIs, guys. Make sure that you understand that all three problems with CPI, they overstated. They make it a little bit high. In reality, it's at about overstated by 0.5%. You need to know that a lot of contracts and wages agreements, or salaries, probably not wages, but salary agreements, they based on the CPI. They have a CPI clause there that going to say that, well, your salary is going to increase, for example, each year based on the CPI. So all this is going to bring complications because CPI is overstated.